button.
Good morning. It's
live.
Friday. Welcome to the Friday Green Chat. I'm
Good.
Jill. And that's Deb.
I'm Deb. Well, I'm Deb. That's Jill. Yes. One day we're going to have to wear our T-shirts again and go
I think we should do that next week.
Yes.
Yes.
So good.
Oh, it's been a week, hasn't it? We've got the Obama Library open, which was Hello, Light and Sound and Wholeness.
Yes.
We have Juneteenth today, which is acknowledging all of the losses that slavery and all of the repercussions to today have caused. Today, we've lost our service members in that crash in California earlier this week, and you had tornadoes nearby.
Oh my gosh. I want everybody to know, clean the closet. I purposely lost some closet weight to put out. I delivered. I'm still getting rid of stuff. It's a friend of mine. I'm just going to jump ahead. Speaking of losses, a dear friend of mine from Humor Group, Deb Galden. I just want my heart goes out to her. Her sister died of pancreatic cancer, and there was a very short window. And she said, "This is my once every 3 years calling you about death." Last time was her husband. And I said several things and answered her questions. She was a obstetric nurse, right? So her whole thing was delivering babies. And I'm like, eh. And she said, well, I said, keep in mind, birth is really ugly and messy. And so is death. And for those that have had what I call, there's calmer births, everything comes right the way it needs to, and there's not a lot of drama or, exaggerations of anything. The same thing happens in death, and one death is not necessarily the same as the other. I think that's really hard for people that experience quiet deaths. When I say quiet, meaning the person is laying flat or somewhat upright, and there's not a lot of sounds coming from their body. There's not a lot of smells happening, and they just sort of die with their eyes closed or very close to that. And then there's those that don't. And it's difficult. It's very difficult. Or those, as I told my grief group, if you're not in the room, either because you missed it or because you choose not to, there is no right or wrong. And how do you know the person didn't want you there anyway? Not because they don't like you, they love you and don't want you to have to see certain parts of life. And yet at the same time, I was happy to hear this week that my granddaughter, she'll be 16, and I don't know, maybe a few months ago, her hamster, her micro, like 2 inches long hamster.
Kind of scary size hamster.
Anyway, died, and they buried it by a tree. So they had a little funeral, even at 16 or 15. And the boyfriend played taps. I thought he really did. No, he played it on his phone. But even the smallest of creatures deserve some sort of
marking of their
goodbye. Yes.
Goodbye and marking of their place in our lives.
Right.
Yes.
Right. So I remember when a grandson was 8 or 9 and a mouse died, and he put rocks around it just quite instinctively and said, that's his funeral. Not really getting all the other interesting parts about putting the rocks around and stuff. And all I could say was, can I say some prayers? Because that's something. So there's lots of different losses, and the death loss isn't always simple. And that's what I wanted to bring up today. It's just not.
It's not, and yet it requires education to know what it could be. I've had this conversation several times this week that if you know that there is a loss coming, in fact, I had this with some of my students while we were sitting at Project Food, but folks were just sitting down to eat, and one mentioned someone who had a loss coming, and I said, you really need to know the dying process. You need to know what's involved. You need to know how it impacts people. You need to know the physical impact of grief and anticipatory grief and the emotional and the cognitive and all of the things. But you need to know what death and dying looks like so you can educate your client. And if they've already had the loss, you need to be able to re-educate what they are misinterpreting, so that you can remove some of the blame that they likely put on themselves, and the guilt they absolutely put on themselves, because guilt is our go-to. Guilt and anxiety, those are the first two grief emotions.
Right.
And they exist in great numbers in anticipatory grief as well. And there was kind of but what happens if, no, you need to know what this is. And I'll send you my handout because it's 4 pages and it goes through the whole thing, weeks out, a week out, days out, whatever. It's got all of it. But isn't that hard for them? I said, well, let's think. They're going to see this, or they're not, and they're going to hear about it, and they're not going to know what it means. And you can leave them hanging, or you can provide them with some resolution to what occurred.
And education, I won't say education cures a lot of fears, but I can say, oh, I remember Deb said that. And so my friend said, I kept reminding myself that death can be very ugly, like birthing. Deathing and birthing, right? Coming
all
and
the
going,
things.
all the things. And
after Linda died, one of the things that my BFF Wendy, who now lives next door, and I joked about was that we didn't know, and I was a hospice social worker, but we didn't know how much you could laugh about a catheter and trying to figure out how to empty the darn thing. Yeah. We finally settled on the Clorox bottle. Yeah. Because at least that's white and you can't see through it. It's got some dignity to it.
And out of all my favorite things to see heal, like whatever, emotionally, physically, I talked about my friend who had gotten sideswiped by a semi while he was getting into his car, and he knows, send me wounds, and I can see, does it look like it's healing from a picture? I can always blow it up. Does it look like it needs this or that? And I actually quite honestly said, wow, that looks like a special effects wound in a movie. Totally horrible.
Ew.
And that was like my idea of horrible, right? Sort of overly dramatic. And yet that is one of my favorite wounds to see heal, because
Yes.
of the way it does, and take care of. Like, there is magic in healing. There is miracles in healing. Like, how does it know to just do this? And it's sort of odd, right?
Right.
That, but I can eat and talk and see those pictures at the same time. But my nephew, let's say my nephew, he absolutely, and my brother, no, no, no. Now, Daryl is used to me talking about it. Would he be able to do that? I don't know. And, the way, well, you and Stacy are two peas in a pod, so you can't really say how would one be with the other in that situation. We know you'd be good.
I can, because Stace is good in an absolute emergency, but if given a choice, live people things,
Yeah.
and Jill can do live people things, so we cover the whole spectrum between the two of us.
You do actually. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So having this conversation, not all people can start a conversation like this, right? They can't.
Right. Your dinner table is no more normal than mine.
Yes. I have had people say, whatever you do, don't talk to Deb about any of this. She gets too excited. That's number one. Number two, if one person happens to mention, I'm ready to give them 10 minutes, right?
Right.
And I have to censor myself, right? And yet at the same time, you and I both ask of people, please take notice when there's a ceremony you like, ceremony you don't. Take notice without shame or blame. I can allow myself to be in this situation. I need to remove myself from this situation. That means me personally. Right? And I do want to talk about one humorous thing. I had gotten the call that no parent ever wants to go. Your kid's been in an accident. And this was many years ago. And Kate, and she was driving a friend up to their wedding venue in St. Joseph, Michigan. Got off, it was super icy, ice storm, blah, 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 blah. And I jokingly later called my daughter Mario Andretti. Doesn't matter how she wound up, because of spinning, a semi hit them.
Oh.
And both people are very fine now. But when I drove up quickly to Riverside, near Riverside Hospital in Kankakee, I heard my daughter said, yeah, my underwear wound up on the dash. And I go, the impact was that hard that it got your underwear off? And she goes, no, Mom, my laundry was in the back seat. Exactly. But I took it so literally that I'm like, all I can think of is the impact. Her underwear fell off, or someone's underwear fell off, because stuff happens in accidents.
It does.
Weird. I didn't know how hard her other friend was hit or whatever. And, it was the right amount of mental ignorance at the time, only thinking one way, that it made everybody laugh and pull the energy back to a little bit of normalcy, right? Ridiculous, which is the great balancer. And there's even things even this one can't look at comfortably. And I won't give away that secret because I don't want anybody using it against me.
Right.
Yes, that's what Deb can't stand. So really, when you see kids having a funeral, doesn't matter what age, say, that was really kind of you. Say something.
I'm glad you marked that little one's place in your life. Glad
Yes.
you'll have a place to remember
Yes.
your little one, all of that sort of thing. I've seen several people who've had pet losses this week. And first of all, I thought about the amazing woman we met from South Chicago who's working on the program
Yes.
to honor pet loss in the African American community in South Chicago, the South Side of Chicago. But also how much it matters when we do lose our pets, and how much folks need to say something about it, not just put the sad face emoji. There needs to be some words, because
Just my
that's
heart goes out to you.
significant. Yeah, it's a
Or I
significant.
remember how hard that was for myself.
Mm-hmm.
You're not comparing my loss was greater than yours. I remember those feelings.
Right.
You don't have to even say what those feelings are. So,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
yeah.
And then while I was watching the Obama library, and I couldn't watch the whole thing because I was working, but YouTube, thank you so much.
Mm-hmm.
Right. You made it possible for me to hear some of the speeches and the music. And it struck me how much joy there was, and how that was being compared to where we are in our world right now. And yet we can still hold that
Mm-hmm.
while also grieving what's happening to our capital, and reflecting green ponds and destroyed White House and all the things. We can have buildings erected and parks created and safe spaces made, and we can honor the people who do the work,
Mm-hmm.
not the big people, the little people, which is
Right.
what I appreciated about Michelle Obama's speech, was talking about the folks cooking for those who were hungry, and using
Mm-hmm.
the park to do clothing drives.
Mm-hmm.
That's the community.
We were talking about our growth group yesterday, even at our church. And I listened. I said, this is a moneymaker. But more importantly, it's being part of the community. What are just even little ways we can be part of the community without, looking for anything back?
Right.
There is a time to set a space to gather,
Yes.
to bring in, but what is it that we can do on some small basis to give to the community? Our community is Champaign-Urbana and the agencies, nonprofit agencies that help others, right? And what can we do? And it's those not microwaves, micro ways we can give back. Maybe, if you have time to volunteer, you can write something to a person. How many have saved cards that they just say something and you read it every once in a while? I have cards from 30 years ago that just, look at, I'm even touching my heart, that touched me.
I have cards on a bulletin board in front of me. Yeah, at work.
Yes.
Because they matter, and the words remind me why we do the work.
I think my friends saying, this is your once every 3-year phone call from me about, I talk in between, but it's usually very specific. And, if I've given the way I look at it, if I am part of able to alleviate pain and suffering for a nanosecond in somebody so they can catch a breath, that's one breath they didn't have. And that's no different than, why are you throwing the starfish back into the sea? There's hundreds. Well, I saved that one. And if
Right.
people look at the importance of those little things, you actually live life just a little bit better.
You take the edge off the hard parts and you give yourself hope, even when you're in a hard part.
Yes, you are the example
of what it can be.
What it can be. And it's sort of like Cesar Millan. I was watching a video with him with Howie Mandel and Howie Mandel's wife, and they've got this ferocious Chihuahua, right?
Ooh.
Yeah, that just gets mad when Howie sits on the couch and da-da-da. Oh, it's horrible. Well, there's a certain way Caesar wants you to approach the dogs, almost in a very neutral, non-judging, non-nervous way to do that. And if you are comfortable with something and you can go into any situation and project that energy of being comfortable, that helps others.
Yes.
Just approach it. Take whatever comfort level you can behave at. And I do mean behave. I, as a nurse over 40 years, you learn to like shove it in, right? You're a social worker. You shove it in.
You do.
Yeah. So if only for that moment you can do that. And I think in life and death, people don't think about their own energy as a living person, as opposed to the dying person. They get top billing if the person's dying. Right? Yeah.
Exactly right. And having been through many of those moments, it's that balance, and it's still the ability to give grace to those who are having trouble balancing.
Right.
And being able to help them find some humor, maybe after the moment or in the moment, depending.
Mm-hmm.
Linda was making jokes up to 4 hours before she died.
Yeah.
There's that grace too that we can be given by the dying person.
I've confused people enough while I'm living. Everybody agrees we will not know if you have dementia, because that sounds like now. We will not know if you're joking, because that sounds like now. We will not know. There is probably nothing you can say while you're dying that you haven't said while you're living. Now, of course, there probably is, and I hope it just blows them out of the water. Yeah.
While my Linda was dying, my first wife, it was the first week of April. It was going to be the last couple of days of March, first week of April. It was very clear this is where we were. She had pulmonary fibrosis. There was no getting out of it. She was at home. She was comfortable. I want to create that picture for folks. But she was finally in her hospital bed the last week she was alive. She wouldn't even look at it until then. She was on oxygen at a very high flow rate. And we were talking about what day it was, what days are coming. And I said, we can't have you die on Carrie's adoption anniversary. That's sacrosanct. She's no. Put the calendar next to me. I got to make sure I get past that. Okay. And then unfortunately, right after that is April Fool's Day, and nobody will believe you died if you die on April 1st. So we've only got a few days for you to choose from, and she chose one of the others. So there is that. There's you don't know what things are coming in and how the humor can play in.
Right.
And you got to show some grace.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I'm sorry about the squeak. Lily's having a hard time over here.
Is that a squeaky toy, or is that coming from her throat?
No, if I take it away from her, she will lose her mind. And it's a fat little man with an orange head, and it squeaks, and she really likes it because it's got a good squeak.
Oh, and it's excellent squeak.
It's an excellent squeak, very high pitched.
High pitched, yes, yes. Notice, and everybody probably has. Jill's going on, trying to goad me to say something. And
Nope.
No
goading.
No goading. Nope.
I'm the one stuck with a dog with a squeaky toy. We have another one that looks like a duck, and it makes this loud, high-pitched squeak, and it makes Fred howl when he hears it. He sits right down and lifts his head and lets out the biggest howl that a poodle can make, because poodles don't howl traditionally, but he howls when that thing is squeaking.
You know, I had a cat, Chloe, that when I would sing, she'd start, and I'm like, that bad? And
no, that was joining mom.
Oh no, I'm pretty sure she just didn't like the sound in her ears. So I said, well, go to the other room because I got to get this part done.
It's my turn. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Are you going to have safe weather this weekend in Illinois?
That's a good question. So far, Sunday looks questionable. So
alrighty.
There, I mean, we are. That was a little disconcerting when they showed in a map how Tornado Alley really shifted. Illinois was always a little part of Tornado Alley,
but not smack in the middle of it.
Not 3/4. Yeah. And that's a loss of feeling safe, right? And
anytime there's an emergency,
Oregon and the possibility of just falling into the ocean almost feels better than where we're at hiding in the closet once or twice a week. I mean, they even sent Daryl home from his medical delivery job at 11. They sent everybody home, a lot of people. It's almost like snow days with tornadoes. And they take these things very seriously now. And I don't know if I said this, but I told people that we had derechos. Did I talk about this before?
No.
We have derechos now. And derechos, my daughter went to college in 2001, right? And she knew what derechos were because in Southern Illinois, part of Tornado Alley, they were used to derechos.
Yeah.
And then just 4 years ago or 3 years ago, whenever we had the sidelining winds, people are talking about derechos up here. And now they mention them to talk about the different winds because everything is shifting. And if you want to say, well, climate changes, if you want to poo-poo that or say that, yes, they're very real, this is climate change. So
there are actually now several retreats going on, and there's a program for helping clients grieve changes in the physical environment where they live. People who are experiencing anxiety over rising sea levels, which are very real. We've had some serious impact of tides we don't typically have here in Southern California in this last 2 weeks. And they're taking people and doing lots of intensive anti-anxiety and coping skills to deal with the changes that are happening around them. Because when you walk out your door and things are dramatically different than they were 10 years ago, then you are confronted, and it is very confronting.
Even earlier in the year and last year, when they start talking about the drought season, 10 years ago, we didn't have a drought here.
Yep.
Our creek was always up and in a healthy way. in a healthy way. In fact, when we first moved here, you could fish out of there. I wouldn't dare do that now, but people fished out of there. People used to, for our next door neighbor, there when we first moved here 33 years ago, the son would and the dad tied a rope to a branch on the tree. You swing into the creek and just drop, right? And you're not going to hurt yourself. It's probably 8 feet deep. So anyway, that ain't happening now.
Yep. I want to notice that Steve, in addition to wishing us a happy Shabbat and telling you to be safe, is reminding us that it's 5 years since the loss of his husband on Thursday.
Yes.
He's marking that that anniversary this week.
Yes.
So
yes.
Hearts are with you, Steve, and with anyone marking the anniversary of a loss. Yep.
And along with that, as Jill said, because we're going to end soon, there was a lot of confusion with ending slavery here in as many states as we had at the time. And even when you're moving on for good, there is usually a time where that loss is very confusing. Loss of slavery, very confusing to a lot of people. And that's why it took Texas all those years to ratify that they will not hold slaves there. Not all the states ratified it at the same time, right?
Texas refused to acknowledge it.
Yes, and refused to acknowledge it. And when something has been declared and people still don't honor that, and that was Saphonia, which is what our friend Avery Young wrote this opera, black opera, and talked about all the confusion and loss around when the slaves from the South moved north and it still wasn't honored.
Yep.
So I want to say, think about the losses that come with freedom before and after.
Absolutely. Look at some of the newspaper ads people put up after the end of slavery looking for family members.
Right.
Who had been disappeared from their lives by force and with hate. And the families that are, some still even just now using DNA to find
right
lost family members and to understand what happened historically on both sides and how important it is to really acknowledge what Juneteenth holds for everybody.
Right.
And how important it is that the Obama Center opened in the middle of it. And created a community space in a historically undervalued, underfunded neighborhood.
And the fact that they opened it on, they christened it on June 18th. 18 in Hebrew means achai, or life.
Oh my goodness, that's true.
And now today it's open to the public to give publicly on Juneteenth. So,
and I do want to acknowledge that Mr. Obama showed up at the park today to talk to the kids who were playing on the playground.
He had a basketball court because he loves basketball.
It's a presidential center and library and a community space.
Yes.
As it should be. And I'm just so glad that it is where it is and what it is. And I'm glad for that community, and I can't wait to visit. And I personally think that anybody going to the International Death, Grief, and Bereavement Conference next year should fly into Chicago, make their arrangements to go get their tickets ahead of time, and then we can caravan from Chicago with someone else driving, so I never again have to drive in Chicago. And we can get to Wisconsin. Just saying.
I personally think that's a great idea.
Yeah.
And I can help.
I think it would be a wonderful way to
Shake
start
and
that
bake
week.
and I can help.
There you go. All right, everybody, have a great weekend. If you are having a holiday today to celebrate the joy that is Juneteenth, we hope that you make the very most of it and take care of your community. I'm going to go off and work and take care of some people and hand out more dog food to dogs on the street, because that's my newest thing.
Yay!
Deb, how are you spending this weekend?
I'm writing my talk about Father's Day and probably include this week and the things that I've seen that help bolster that talk.
And if you need a dementia support group, 10 to 12 tomorrow Pacific time, send me a message and I'll get you in. Bye, everybody. Deb, we'll see you next week with a guest, right? We have a guest next week?
Yes, Sherry Buell. If you're listening to this, call me.
We'll be on. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everyone.